to the Black Pen Podcast, where we celebrate the power of writing. I'm Diane Johnson, your host. Please help me welcome my co-host, Robert Greer.
Hey, peoples, what's happening? We are back at it with another episode to encourage and inspire you to keep writing and continuing to push your gift and remind you that your point of view is important. It matters. And writing is not just about putting pens on the word or putting words on a pen or a pad. It's about sharing ideas, telling stories, and inspiring others. But for some writers, they have trouble with procrastination. They have trouble with being overwhelmed.
Yes.
And our guest today is no stranger to that, someone that is always pushing past it and encouraging others to do so. So who do we have here today?
Today we have Kenny Smith, and we want to welcome you, Kenny, today to the Black Pod podcast. And just tell us a little bit about Kenny.
Well, first, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. Kenny Coach JoJo is a 42-year-old kid. So I love young people. I'm an educator by trade, if you say that. 17 years in that. But I'm from Akron, Ohio, born and raised, and played sports. And sports allowed me to go to college and get an athletic scholarship and, pursue my life and create change in my life. So I went to a HBCU and played basketball 4 years, Miles College in Birmingham, Alabama. And then after that, I was actually able to travel the world and go to South America and the Middle East. So basketball allowed me to see the world. And so that was a very humbling and great experience. Came back home and was able to get into education. Started substitute teaching and just doing a lot with young people. And so here we are 17 years later after starting a nonprofit and just being a community staple, wanting to give back to the community and wanting to share my story of, just persevering through whatever life throws your way to be able to just be a champion for young people and help them be great.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, tell us about your nonprofit.
So my nonprofit actually turns 15 years old in 2025. The name is Ladies First Akron, and we have been using education and athletics to teach life skills to young ladies for 15 years now. And so we have some major things coming up in August, a yearly event that we do. That's a mental health clinic. Okay. But basically what we try to do is we make sure that we cater to inner city young ladies who don't have the same opportunities as the suburban girls, and make sure that they're able to use education and athletics to teach them that they can do anything. And we use those two things to help them understand that.
Right. That makes sense. That's a great in the community, of course, and then also bringing the community together and then empowering young girls. And when I was doing some deep dive on you, I do know that I Am Possible Enterprises is something that you also started.
Absolutely.
And that is an affirmation like that, those affirmations of I am. And of course, that is Exodus 3:14 through 15. Can you tell us a little bit about how that started and then how dear that is to your heart?
Oh, man. So, it's deep. I grew up in it. So the church that I was raised in was Children of the I Am. Okay. Reverend Dr. Eugene Shai. And so I know the power of I am and know that to be God's name and the power behind what you put behind it, will bring forth. And so for me, in starting a company, it was just because I wanted to release a book. I really wasn't thinking about it as like being a company, but I knew that I wanted I am to be involved in it because I know the power of those words, the most powerful words in the world. And so when it was time for me to write the first book, I wanted to name it, I Am Possible, because impossible really means I am possible. That's the tagline. And so just to help people understand that, like, there's something inside of us all that we can tap into to be great. And so that is where I Am Possible came from. And I actually sat down with a former player, a young man that I helped, Carrington, who has Carrington Financials. And we set that up together, and he was like helping me kind of brainstorm and vision what it could look like, and here we are a few years later, still rolling.
Okay, so what has been the impact though? Like, how have people have embraced like this I am as an affirmation?
Well, so to be totally transparent, I am for the masses wasn't as popular when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
So I was deemed to a lot of people like different. Like, hold on, what is he talking about? And now, like, it blows my mind that I'm able to go into schools and talk about I am and do I am affirmations with young people and help them understand the power behind it. So I go into schools and I do work with young people. I do work with teachers, and we do affirmations, right? And so now it's more, I guess you could say, acceptable. Whereas for me, I always knew the power behind it.
Right.
But it's just allowing people to understand again, to tap into something that exists within them and that they can use that power and to project what it is that they want to see come into fruition.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
As a life coach and consultant and just all around mentor, what are some of the challenges that you see that young people are facing today and also dealing with the young ladies?
Right. So many different challenges, but I see a lot. And some that stand out to me are support because society has gotten so individualized.
Yes.
It's not as a community like it was when I was a young person. Now, obviously, things change and life evolves, and so that's going to happen. But so when everyone's trying to be so individualized, it puts people in silos, and so they don't feel like they have the support. And that's what a lot of our young people feel like right now, and they're crying out for support. So that's one thing. And then connection. So with that support is connection, because you have the technological advance that we've had. The connection isn't the same with other people, even with their peers. So those are some of the challenges, and they just want to be heard. And so when you can allow them to speak their voice and allow them to, be heard, that connection happens. And then, parenting, I mean, it's a long list of things that could be spoken of, but I think that the connection piece, right, and supporting them through their mistakes, right? We all made mistakes. We were young, we made mistakes, and we still make mistakes. But allowing them to understand and giving them the grace to learn through those, I think is very important as well. And so young ladies, from an athletic standpoint, I noticed that they don't get the same opportunities.
Right.
I didn't know that I would be an advocate for women in athletics, but God said so. And here we are many years later, and a lot of daughters later. But, so from a nonprofit perspective, it allowed me to be a voice. So I go into rooms and I'm a voice for these young women. Right. And so it's been a very, very interesting experience being that voice.
Now, how do you rally the girls' team together before a game? How do you get them stoked and ready to go?
Well, it all started, the whole Ladies First concept started in a co-ed league, but 95% of it was boys.
Okay.
So we were the only all-girl team.
Okay.
So it was easy psychologically for me to use that for my advantage or to our advantage. Like, hold up, it's boys over there, and they think that y'all can't play, and they think that y'all won't play hard. And so I would use that psychologically to let them know, like, we're not caring about the score and what happens. We can control one thing, that we play the hardest. And if you go watch any team that I've coached or that comes from Ladies First, you will leave that game saying exactly that. And it's still happening right now. So I use mindset, like trying to get them to understand the power of just making sure that you control what you can control.
Now, is it one age group or different sets of age groups that you coach?
So right now, for like currently this winter, I'm coaching 8-year-olds.
Okay.
And I have 2 former players who both played college basketball coaching our 9, 10-year-olds. So they're back coaching. So that's what we have currently going on right now in the wintertime. And so our goal is to try to get them as early as possible. Typically, we get them around, in the past, we've gotten them around like 5th grade. Ideally, we would love to get them around 3rd and just build those habits, because we're all about habit forming. If you can build those habits at a young age and just see them through, then they translate very well. We've had a lot of success stories, of young ladies getting it early. So, but also at Ed Davis Community Center, you have Tiny Tots, which is 5 to 7-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
You could even catch
I
them
bet that's interesting.
very. You could catch them that young. But we do something like called Word of the Week, and we like emphasize literacy and things of that nature. So at the end of the day, it's all about habits. But to answer your question though, mindset, helping them understand that they need to control what they can control. And so by starting with that, I see the benefits.
Now, how long is the season, and how do they register?
So it depends on when. So we typically offer seasons in the winter and spring. So winter, we play in the City of Akron Rec League out of Ed Davis Community Center.
Okay.
And then springtime, we play travel we play travel basketball. And so we pretty much travel locally. And so when I say locally, I mean like Cleveland, Canton, Medina, like your Northeast Ohio area, to get them that experience, because it is a more serious brand of basketball for people who take it a little more seriously. And then like summer and fall, we offer skill sessions. So we offer skill sessions that are athletic based and academic based. So we try to support them, in both ways. So we found out that like trying to do it year round, it's just not the way that we want to go. Right. Like kids should be experiencing a lot of things. So we try to make sure that they're able to do that. And so our focus areas are winter and spring in terms of seasons.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
That's good. Well, you've touched a lot of children, kids, and over your time, I'm curious for myself, and for like our viewers and listeners. So, was there a turning point for Kenny that became Coach JoJo? Was there a turning point in your life? Like I mentioned, you mentioned when you came back from school and you came back from basketball, from overseas, and you kind of settled in Akron. Was there something that was like, yeah, this is the direction that I got to head in. This is my calling. What I want to be able to do.
I knew I was going to do it since I was a kid. I mean, because my father did it for 30 plus years. He's still doing it. So he's still literally actively involved right now. So I knew I was going to coach. I did not think I was going to coach young ladies.
Yeah.
At all. But what ended up happening was an assistant supervisor put an all-girl team together, and they had a different coach every week. And so the girls just weren't getting any priority. It's like, I coach the girls today. I coach the girls. And they just kind of thrown to the side. I'm like, why are they doing them girls like that?
That happens a lot.
So I was like, man, you know what? No, I'll coach them. And like girls couldn't catch, scared of the ball. They was moving out the way. And I saw progress, right, from beginning to end. And then, so I was like, okay, you have fun. I'll do it again. That was year one. So then I did it year two. Same result. We lost every game, 0-10, 2 straight years. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to keep losing. They're 8, 9, and 10. Like the boys are better, but not that much. So I started offering skill sessions in the summer for free and having girls come around. And a parent challenged me. So after that year, we played. We won 5 games.
Oh, wow.
And boys crying when we beat them. It was like, man, like literally. It changed.
All that motivation and pep talk.
Man, they were so, like, I mean, devastated. I'm like the snotty cry.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a lot at stake.
Yeah. Dad's mad in the stands. I mean, furious. Like, them girls, yo, he ain't losing no girls. And so it was a lot.
Typical.
And then a parent came to me and was like, you should do a travel team. And I was like, no, I shouldn't. And she pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. And then I did it. And it was fun. And here we are.
Okay.
And how was your season this year?
So we're playing right now. And both teams are in that same situation as the first year, actually. So we have a 9 and 10-year-old group playing against 10 and 11-year-old boys, and they have not won a game yet.
Okay.
And our 8-year-old girls have not either. But when I tell you they are growing and improving and facing adversity, it's really hard, and it's frustrating, and all of the feelings that come with that. But they are really doing great. Like, so if you look at it by record, you would be like, oh man, they're not good. But if you come watch,
it's growth.
You'll see.
They're taking on the challenge.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely growth.
So in all this mentoring and shooting ball and stuff like that, how did you manage to sit down and write?
I schedule time.
You schedule time.
So I have a
Okay.
mentor that has written, I think, 15 books.
Wow.
Hey.
His name is Ash Cash Agzizantis. He's from New York. He lives in Atlanta. And I was following his work when I was teaching. And he was so consistent. He was putting out something called the Daily Word every day. and I was using it with my students. We would use it. And so he had a program to get, connected to him and, to help write. And so one of the suggestions was to set aside time.
Yeah.
And so when I made the decision, so my first book was a COVID project. So we had a lot of time.
Yeah.
So time really wasn't the issue for COVID, right?
Right.
So my first book was a COVID project, but every other publication after that, I set aside time. And so my most recent release is The 7 Secrets for Beating Educator Burnout, Proven Solutions for Educational Wellness. And it took me 2 years to write that book. But I would set aside 45 minutes a day, and I really dedicated time to it. And so for advice to anyone who wants to write, like, you have to dedicate some time to it. You have to set aside that time. And even if you write 2 sentences, or whatever that looks like, you have to dedicate the time. And once you get in the habit of doing that, I just look at it, kind of connecting it to sports. Like, you practice, you have practice every day.
Right.
It's the same thing. And so I was able to do that. And so that is one of the ways that I go forward in terms of writing.
Now, is that at the end of the day for you, or early morning, or mid?
So at that time, I was still a teacher. So I was still teaching traditionally in the classroom. So it was at the end of the day.
Okay.
And since transitioning into consulting work and not being in the school, it could be different times. If I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I feel the urge, then I'll get it in, or, whatever the case may be. So it has changed over time, but it definitely is a specific time.
Okay. And what audience is their last book for? So those habits, like, is that for anyone? Is it just for educators?
It's primarily for educators, like teachers, principals, but no, because parents have students in education, and so you can get a glimpse of what teachers are going through, because it talks about teacher burnout. Right?
I think that's important.
Yeah, very important. But it would give parents a glimpse as to what's going on in the schools. And so I'm coming from a student-centered perspective, right? Because gone to me are the days where you get up in front of the class and tell everyone what to do.
Right.
Obviously, there's points where you do that, but it's very important for you to include students in everything that you're doing. And so I talk about that in my book, and I give practical examples. Like, every secret starts off with a real example of something that happened during my teaching life that they can learn from, and figure out how I navigated that, and maybe how they can navigate those situations.
And you said the process for this particular book was 2 years. So did you do a complete outline in your research first before you hit the keys, or?
I definitely did an outline, and from a research perspective, it was practical. Right. So I didn't really do a lot of research, and it's not like a lot of theories in the book. It is my experiences.
Okay.
Like, so it's like really what I was doing in the classroom, why I was a successful teacher, how, because I worked with students who were considered emotionally disturbed was the term at the time. Emotionally disabled now is the term. And, every negative thing you can think of, they were labeled with. And so we increased the graduation rate with those students, and we had a lot of success. And so I knew that, when you get to know a kid, like, you find out what's really going on.
Yeah.
So yes, it's very, very practical in terms of what I actually did versus a lot of research saying this. Now, obviously, there's research-based practices involved, but it was me just really going back into, what I call the trenches and thinking about the experiences that I had.
Well, I think that's life application, and usually people we can connect to that because that's real life.
Yes.
So
absolutely,
y'all got to get that book.
Yeah, for sure.
When is it coming out?
That book is out. Book is out. So that book was actually an Amazon #1 bestseller.
Okay.
In front of Ron Clark, who has a school in Atlanta, Georgia. That, if you're in education, you know who that is. And so it's pretty cool. I have the screenshots, just to just to show.
We'll make sure that we show it.
It's multiple. It's over 40 5-star reviews.
Okay.
On Amazon, and from the feedback that I get, people, it's real. Like, and I'm very authentic. That's the type of teacher I am. That's the type of coach that I am. I don't bite my tongue. I don't eat, not even for the kids. We gonna tell it like it is.
Well, tell us about We Love Our Daddy and how that came about.
So I was super excited to be a father, right?
think we
Like,
all are,
I mean, super excited because I've been helping kids all this time.
Right,
And
right.
so I'm like going to try to find books with black main characters. And I'm like, not finding many.
Right.
And so as an educator, you start to look and you say research and you're finding these statistics of black main characters being a very low percentage. And I'm like, you know what?
Yep.
Instead of complaining about it, I
Do
want to be
something.
part of the solution. And so I wrote that book actually when my daughters were already born. So they were 5 and 2 at the time. I believe it came out when they were 6 and 3. So that like I included them in it. Like I showed them what I was doing. And I wanted to tell a story of me. Like I'm a very active father and husband, right? So my wife is a part of the book as well. I'm very active, and that story isn't told enough, right? The black
Right.
male
Right.
negative stories get all the attention.
They do.
And so I'm like, you know what? How can I take what I do on a daily basis and put it into a book, because books live forever.
Yes,
So I
they
wanted to
do.
do that. So that was how We Love Our Daddy came about. I wanted to tell the story about, being an active father.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
So now that they're older, they see it in a different light than when you wrote it.
Absolutely.
So what's that feedback from them? How's that been?
It's just funny how when we look back on just the things that we've done over time, because we talk about a lot of the stuff that we used to do. I was raised very hands-on from a perspective of my mom was very like, do this, try this, right? And so that's how I raised like the girls, like them trying to cook at a very young age and do things at a very young age. That was how my parents were.
Right.
More specifically, my mother. Like my dad was there and wasn't like that, but my mom was like, "Look," her famous line was like, "I'm not always gonna be here."
Right. Yeah. That's
So looking
understandable.
back, my daughters, we just laugh at how fast things have gone, and them seeing what we used to do, kind of like versus what we do now, and how their schedule and what they do runs everything.
Okay. I mean, they see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's a very cute story, and it's timeless, so it will go forever.
For sure.
That topic. As father and mentoring and being a good dad. As black men. So that's something that will just carry on. As we talk about the writing and stuff, a lot of our readers and young writers getting started, and some of ones that's been at it for a long time. How was the publishing for you?
Well, so it was very interesting. It was COVID. I
Excuse
saw a guy who was a 4-time published author, and I took a class with him. And so he gave me information about self-publishing and,
Okay.
From companies like BookBaby and Amazon and these different things that you can do. So originally I was going to use BookBaby as the publisher, but then Ash, with the books that he has and the program that he has, teaches you how to become a self-published author. And so how you can basically start your own publishing company, and you have the authority to own and tell your story how you want to, and own it and put it out. And obviously you have to market and do the different things, but at the end of the day, the book becomes a business for you. And so learning those strategies and getting with someone who actually experienced it, I learned so much. And so my daughters actually named the publishing company Violet Life Publishing. And so that is what we have been doing. We have been self-publishing. All of our titles are self-published under our Violet Life Publishing, which is an extension of I Am Possible Enterprise. And it's just been cool from an entrepreneurial perspective for my daughters, who are now, authors, and they write, and watching them build what they're building. I'm learning with them, and so it's cool because I talk about that in education, and like I'm living it, with my daughter. So it's been pretty cool.
Now, with your publishing company, do you publish just nonfiction or fiction or poetry?
So right now we've only published what we have done, which has been nonfiction and fiction. My book about my teaching career is specific to that. We haven't published any outside people. Like,
Okay.
Okay.
I've helped a woman publish. I have helped someone publish, But as a company, we haven't said, okay, we're going to publish your book under what we've done. It's been specifically based on our stories and what we're trying to put out to the world. Yeah. And so eventually we'll probably get to, publishing, helping other people and publishing their works. But right now, that has not been something
it's
that
in-house.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, if everybody's already writing, inside the house, like that's a lot, right?
For sure. For sure.
Now,
So, go ahead,
go
Robert.
ahead. So, I mean, I do know that, since we're talking about writers, like some writers, they do struggle, and we'll bring the Coach JoJo out of you right now. They struggle with procrastination. They struggle with being able to get things done, like writing. And I know you mentioned before just being able to just write a little bit of lines at a time. Mm-hmm. But for those of them, like our audience that's listening and they're watching, what would you say for those that feel like kind of unqualified or stuck, and their procrastination is a part of that form?
Every one of us has a story, and literally someone is waiting on your story to help them. Mm-hmm. And so I just tell people, like, you have a story, and getting your story out to the masses is important. And so I think everyone should write a book. I really believe that everyone should write a book because we all have a story, and it's a way for your story to live forever, and it's a way for your family to continue to know who you are. And like my great grandkids are going to learn about me, and they may never meet me, but they'll read the books and see what I did. And see, my grandfather never learned how to read. And so for me personally, it's a deeper connection.
Yes.
But in terms of procrastination and people like just trying to get through it, like I suggest that they first know the power of their story and know that like adversity is part of any process, right? And it doesn't define you. It just is a part of the process. Right. And so don't let that stop you. And as you continue to push through it, there's always greatness on the other side, right? Nothing that we really love comes easy. It always comes through challenges because it's strengthening us for the next part of life, whatever that is. Yeah. So for your writers out there, you writers out there that are, wondering or thinking about it, first you have to have the mindset of like, I can do it. And then you just have to pursue it and allow the journey to be what it is, because it is a journey. It is challenging, right? And all that happens, but everything that we've done has come with that same type of situation and challenges. So that's cool.
Yeah. Now, do you set time limits or, I know you have a goal in mind, but do you allow yourself, okay, I'm going to have it done in 6 months, a month, 30 days?
That's a great question. So I did not always do that. But most recently, I spoke at Morgan State University. I did a workshop there at a conference. And so I was introduced to a guy named Dr. David Miller, who has multiple books out. And he told me to not ever have another book without a date, right? And so that's why I haven't even named the book that I was speaking about from my HBCU process yet, because once I name it, then I'm picking a date. Right. He's like, no, because life is coming. You're not ever going to stop life from coming. So we're not just saying we're going to have a book. Like, no, once we name this book, the next thing we're going to do is pick the date that book is coming out, because you have to stand on it. Right. So that's what I say. Like, you have to pick a date. And so when the young lady, so one of my former players who's releasing a book March 23rd, or who's having a book signing March 23rd, like we had a date. Like I told her, like, no, we're picking a date. So you have to pick a date.
You got to pick a date.
You got to pick a date.
Well, that's
life
the
is
challenge.
Coming.
Yeah,
life is coming.
challenge.
Yeah. So because if you don't pick a date, you're like, this happened. So it's the reason why I didn't do it. Then something else happened. You're like, that happened. Like, no.
Well, I think that's a life lesson, because being intentional about things. Like when life is happening, like you lose things, you lose sight of things, and you just forget about them sometimes. And I think people get caught, and that's probably one of the reasons for procrastination.
Absolutely.
Is you just get caught up in what life is, and you forget the inspiration or the reason why you started, which is like the inspiring part at the beginning, where you like had a goal and then you forget the goal because you got caught up in life.
For sure.
That's very good. Well, before we get out of here, you mentioned something before we got started. All this you have imparted into your kids. So,
yes.
And you mentioned that someone in your household has a upcoming book release.
Yes.
So tell us a little about that project, who the author is, give her some credit,
and
then where they can.
Let me shout my babies out. So my oldest daughter, Camille Smith, wrote a book when she was 9. So literally, I included them in this the way that I wrote We Love Our Daddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a method, like that I can share. So it's in a notebook. I take a notebook and I write out what I want the wording in the book to be.
Right.
Underneath that, I write out what I want the scene to look like because I don't illustrate, right? So my artist can fully understand what's going on. That's the process that I went through for We Love Our Daddy, and I show my daughters. My oldest comes to my wife and I. Well, first she says, Dad, I want to write a book. I'm like, okay. Right? Like, yeah, you can do that, right? I'm not knowing she's like that serious. Right. But months later, she comes with her notebook and the pattern exactly how mine is with her first book, Girls Fall Down Sometimes.
Okay.
And when I tell you it was just like the way that mine was, I was like, my wife and I just couldn't believe it. Like, this girl really wrote a book,
Like,
right?
wait a minute.
And so obviously it had to be edited and had to be changed and some things, but it was like, oh my goodness. And so she did that and we put it out and, we had, the different book signings and she's done some appearances and things of that nature. And so we ended up going to a girls basketball tournament in Louisville, Kentucky, and she got invited to do a book signing at the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So the president of Women's Basketball Hall of Fame comes to her table and she's like, you wrote this book? And she's reading it and she's like, I'm inviting you to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And so it was cool experience. And so we're on our way home. This is in Louisville and we're driving home. She's like, Dad, she's like, I know my next book. And so she's like, I want to write about hair.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay. You right? Like, baby, you write about whatever you want to write about.
Right.
And so she started literally in the car. She turned the backlight on.
Oh,
she started writing down whatever, she wanted to write down. And so her second book is called Switching Up My Hair, and talks about how girls should be confident no matter, how they style their hair. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like watching this process, right? Like I'm watching this. And so we're going and we're doing appearances and things of that nature. And people are asking my youngest daughter, like, when you going to write a book? And so I told her, now my kids are readers. Like, we read to them every night when they were in the womb, like every night, like not some, like every night. Like seriously, like they wouldn't even go to sleep when they got older, like because they needed a story read. Like,
how precious.
We were dedicated to reading to them every night. And so my youngest daughter, I'm like, baby, you do not have to write a book because Camille wrote a book and because I wrote, like, you don't have to do that, right? But it got to the point, so I was writing the 7 Secrets for Beating Educator Burnout, and I had this time. And so I'm picking them up from school, and we would go home, and that was my 45 minutes. It was like, maybe 4 to 4:45, right? And so my youngest is like, Dad, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm writing, right? It's my 45 minutes. One day. Next day, she's like, Dad, what are you doing? I said, baby, every day at this time, this is my I'm writing. And so she's like, I'm going to go write a book. And she went upstairs, and now my youngest is literally me. Mm-hmm. She is energetic and she's just like me. And so people would often tell her about her, her energy and things of that nature. And so her book is called Be Free, Just Do It Your Way. Okay. And it talks about her just being herself, right? And I'm like, wow, right? So doing that, and so she released that book, and that book was chosen to be part of the HBCU Classic in 2023. Wow. So she was Doug Williams' guest at the HBCU Classic. It was cool experience. She read her book at Patrick Elementary School in Canton. It was read between 20 and 30 schools between Akron and Canton. But then most recently, the book where we're having a release March 23rd was strategic, but not in terms of being a book. So she ran cross country for the first time. And she was going through different emotions, like, from the gun, even though she ran track, but she doesn't like loud noises. And then her legs were hurting and just, it was hot and all these different things, right?
Yeah.
And so I would see she was going through different emotions. So the teacher in me was like, you know what? I got something for her. So I printed out a 4th grade feelings chart, right? So I printed out, I said, babe. So I said, why don't you put a check mark by some of the different feelings that you're experiencing, and we could just talk about it, right? So it was my way of kind of helping her cope. So we were doing that, and she was checking the feelings, and we were talking about them, and she was writing about them, right? Writing them down in her notebook. Okay. Then after the 3rd meet, the assistant coach comes to us and said, hey, you guys know your daughter broke the school record.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, no, like, how would we know that, right? I didn't know that they did this. She's in 4th grade, right? I didn't know anything about that. And so it was actually his daughter's record that she broke. And he was like, I want to tell her. And we were like, no, don't tell her, right? We was like, we're not doing this for that right now. We said, you could tell her later, but like, don't tell her right now. Because now she's going to be thinking about records and stuff. And we're like, nope, that's not why we did it. So she kept running, finished the season. And so she actually found out at the banquet. So we kept journaling and talking about the feeling. So we kept the practice the entire season. And so at the banquet, the coach told her that she broke the school record. And so through that time, we had been journaling. And so all of those journals compiled her new book, which is called A Race to Remember, My Story of Setting a School Record. And so it talks about some of the different things and how she didn't like the gun and all the stuff that, she wanted to talk about, how one time her legs felt like they were going to fall off and, like all of the different stuff. But she ended up setting a record and was surprised when her coach told her that she broke the record. And so March 23rd at the Akron Main Library, we're having a book launching event for her. And we're going to have a panel discussion of some former athletes and women. It's Women's History Month. And we're going to celebrate women's history and celebrate these two new authors and just talk about that. So A Race to Remember she's 9. This will be her second book.
Okay, that's amazing.
At 9 years old, and it's telling her
And
story.
her name again?
Her name is Cameron Smith.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So you have groomed a household full of authors.
Yes.
Right.
They get on my wife. They're like, "Mommy, you gotta write a book."
So now she has under the pressure to join in.
So her day is coming.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and you have given us a wealth of information on your journey and coaching and mentoring, and also what it is to be a writer and to be a disciplined writer.
Absolutely. I appreciate this opportunity. Again, you all out there, do it.
And
your story needs to be told.
Yes.
Do it.
It does.
All right.
Well, we want to thank our video watchers and our listeners for tuning in to this episode. We also want to thank the Knight Foundation for helping to make this episode possible. And make sure you guys follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Akron Black Artist Guild. And then check us out online, www.abaguild.org. Help follow our newsletter and get connected. So we just think this opportunity just to be here, just to have our authors and writers and our special guests, because it's been so meaningful just to have all of this knowledge and wealth. And this is exactly what the Black Pen Podcast is all about. So we appreciate you listening and watching, and we definitely appreciate you today.
And thank you so much again for coming.
I appreciate y'all.
Pens up.
Pens
Let's
up.
get it.
That's it.